Welcome to Curly's Tanking Guide. Today we'll be going over the absolute basics of how to play tank. I think this video is good for whoever is going to be watching because it's going to help you put yourself in the tank's shoes so you can better understand what the tank's going to be doing. So even if you play support or DPS, I still think this video is very pertinent to you so that you can better play with and around your tank. Tank 101. Alright, so we're playing on Route 66. You are down here, let's just say you're the attacking, and here's the defenders, right? It's a Winston v. Winston matchup with a couple of different variances between the two. Today we're just going to be going over the absolute basics of tank to help you understand how and why you should be doing things on tank. So, the number one thing as a tank you need to be doing is taking, controlling, maintaining, and giving space when necessary. Space is a resource in this game. So resources are like your HP, your abilities, your ultimates, all that. Space is one of those, especially for tank, because the more space you have, the more angles that your teammates have on the enemy team. So let's just say you're playing Winston here and their Winston isn't down there just yet. Let's just imagine, let's pretend that he's up there. Now let's just say you bought all this space for your team. So now this just basically clears out this entire area for your team to operate through, right? Because there's no tank actively engaging them. Your bubble's also protecting them up here as well, and you're drawing a bunch of aggro. So you just bought your team a lot of space. Now with this additional space, this allows your teammates to get additional angles, move into positions that are more advantageous for them to allow them to get more eliminations and easier eliminations. And this also allows you to get more support from your team. So tanking space is great. But don't forget, sometimes you have to give up space. So another point of playing tank is to draw in aggro and to draw in cooldowns. So you jump up there. What do you think the enemy team is going to want to do? The enemy team is going to want to throw every single last cooldown at you to make you explode as quickly as humanly possible. So this is where you need to be rotating out and giving space, right? So you go up here, you bubble, your teammates start taking these positions, and all of a sudden your bubble just gets absolutely imploded. Now if you have jump, you can use leap to get out, or you just drop off the high ground and go underneath to where they can't shoot you, and your Ana can heal you underneath of this building, right? So it's all about a give and take relationship with tank. You need to get space, you need to give HP and abilities. And when you're giving space, you're hoping to conserve and play your life. Because a really big thing while playing tank is absolutely playing your life. You are one of the most important people out there in the game, especially for your team. So you need to be playing your life as much as humanly possible. There's a lot of nuance with taking, controlling, giving, and maintaining space. You need to be basically doing a litmus test every time you engage the enemy team. You need to be figuring out, okay, I just jumped onto the high ground. How much damage did they just pump into me in like 3 seconds? Am I taking a lot of damage? Am I not taking a lot of damage? If you are absolutely taking a lot of damage and they're eating through you, right, like a fat kid at a buffet, you need to be aware of that, and you need to be basically preemptively predicting what the enemy team is going to do. So right away, you don't know what they're going to do. You need to figure out who they have, where they are, and what they're doing, and if they have any ultimates. So at the beginning of the game, you're trying to figure out, okay, I see that they have a Monkey, I see that they have an Iari, I see if they have an Ana, Cassidy, and Hanzo. In your head, you need to be doing some pre-mental calculations. You need to be figuring out who can fuck me up the most in the shortest amount of time. Now, pause the video. I want you to answer that question for yourself, right? If you jump up onto this high ground as Monkey, who on the enemy team is going to be able to fuck you up the most in the shortest amount of time? I'll give you a second to pause. Alright, the person who's going to fuck you up in the shortest amount of time is going to be Ana. Because Ana can hit that sleep dart on you, she can hit that anti on you, and then after that, Cassidy can then hinder you with his grenade. But the person who's going to involve the most immediate impact is going to be that Ana. So once you figure out who they have, where they're at, what abilities and ultimates that they have, right? Since the beginning of the game, you're assuming that they have everything, and you see that they have an Ana, so you need to make sure to bubble yourself to protect yourself from this Ana as much as humanly possible. So you need to determine your #1 threat on the enemy team. The #1 threat right now is the Ana. So when you're jumping up there, what is your #1 objective? Your #1 objective, while taking this space, controlling this area, controlling these sight lines, for your team to get better sight lines, right? You're doing that to allow them to rotate, but you're also basically testing the enemy to see their response to you taking the space, and you're also checking their HP. You're basically doing a mini HP check, and that's the great thing about Winston, is that you zap multiple people at the same time. So you're doing a little HP check on everybody. If you see everybody's full HP, just do your thing, just don't dive, jump up there, cause some chaos, jump down, rinse and repeat, right? Protect your life, play your life. But now, all of a sudden, you see one of them getting weak, right? Let's just say, all of a sudden, this Hanzo rotated over here. The Ahri, Cassidy stay up here. Their Winston is playing low. Your Juno, your Tracer, let's just say your team's set up like this, right? This is you, and the enemy is kind of set up like this. We'll play like this, all right? So the enemy team's kind of set up like this, and all of a sudden you see somebody's weak. I think that's a great time for you to try and confirm an elimination at this point, because you have a closer spawn. So even if you die, you need to be confirming an elimination on somebody who's important. Let's just say hopefully it's the Ana, because if you can take out the Ana, you'll get back much quicker because she has 0 movement abilities. She has a further spawn away. It also drastically reduces the amount of healing that the rest of the team is going to get. So hopefully your team can completely turn the fight if you're able to get this elimination on the Ana, right? Now, if it's on like the Cassidy, I don't know if I would pressure him too much for it, because that Cassidy can easily punish you, especially with the Ahri and Ana there. So another thing that you need to be doing while playing tank is being patient, right? So you don't want to just be engaging in every single fight. You want to be the first person throwing the first punch every time, though, because if you play more aggressively, that's going to make your team play more aggressively, and it's been proven in OWL, the more aggressive that you play, the more likely you are to win team fights. The more passive you play, the more likely the enemy is to win team fights, and this is because when they play more aggressively, they get more space. Getting more space, it gives them more angles, more cover, and that just leads to more fight wins for the more aggressive team. So, you want to be playing aggressive, but you don't want to be playing so aggressive to where your teammate's not in position. So when you're coming up here and you're taking the space, you want to give your Tracer a little bit of time to kind of path up this back side and allow her to try and get up onto the high ground before you start shooting. Because if you just come up here and you just start zapping away like a motherfucker, right, the entire enemy team's going to be shooting at you. Well, what you want is you want your Ashe to have a nice off angle to maybe hit a headshot, maybe a nice dynamite, but you also really want this Tracer to be in a good position to help follow up, because if you start engaging and the Tracer's all the way back here and the Ashe is all the way back here, nobody's even ready for a fight, you're just coming up here and you're just burning cooldowns to burn cooldowns. Now, sometimes that's necessary to allow them to rotate where they need to go, but that's also going to put you on a longer timer before you can actually re-engage, because bubble is what, like 13 seconds long, 14 seconds until you get the next one? I forget it right off the top of my head. But then you need to wait those 14 seconds before you come up here and re-engage, because you don't want to be re-engaging without as many abilities and as many resources as you possibly could have, right? You don't want to be re-engaging into a fight without a bubble and you're at 200 HP. That's just asking for you to get absolutely blown up. So you need to be engaging when your Tracer's in a good spot to help you confirm eliminations. So you see your Tracer triple blink across here, you know she's underneath it there, so now you're just waiting, you give her like a second or two to allow her to get a couple of blinks back, and then you jump up onto this high ground, and now you're buying all this space for your team. So now this is allowing your Ashe to rotate out to get a wider angle. The Winston's going to be pressuring your team, but that's fine, because this Winston, your team has so much space working on the enemy team. You're condensing the enemy team so much to this one little area, basically funneling them, allowing you and your teammates to hit fat abilities on them, right? If Theon is able to hit a nice nade on them, Ashe a nice dynamite, all this other stuff. So you're basically funneling the enemy team while giving your team many more angles for them to work with. As a tank and DPS have kind of like swapped roles a little bit. Tank, you need to be confirming as many elims as possible, right? DPS typically throws out just absolute ass loads of damage onto the enemy team. Your duty as a tank is to confirm those eliminations now. So if you see this Hanzo over here all by his lonesome, jump him, right? If you see a DPS that has a low mobility away from any support, you want to be jumping him, and you want to be jumping him in a manner so that your bubble cuts off his pathway to where he wants to go to his healing. So if you jump him and he's playing like over here, you want to be bubbling as close to that ledge as possible to deny him healing as long as possible, because when you jump him over here like that, that's going to key your teammates to also focus him. So you are spearheading the attack as the tank, but you also need to be aware that you are also going to be the one getting spearheaded, right? So once you do that, the entire enemy team is going to shift their focus onto you. So you need to still be using a lot of natural cover, as much high ground, and as many abilities and resources as you can in this area to try and stay alive and confirm this elimination. So you want to be using bubble to cut him off. You want to be chasing him as much as to your ability, and then if you need to, jump back to disengage, or go under here through Mega to try and disengage that way, right? Remember, play your life as long as you possibly can. You are one of the most important people in the game playing tank, so try and stay alive as long as humanly possible. Lastly, about tank is rotations. The last way to get good at tank is by learning how to properly rotate and when to rotate. Now, that's a very delicate and nuanced topic all in itself. I won't be able to teach it in this video, but if you're interested in more videos like that, or if you have any questions or comments about this one, or you want me to coach a specific person, specific map, specific role, please let me know down below. I appreciate all of you guys showing me your support on this video. It would mean a lot if you left a like, a comment, and if you shared it with anybody who you know is struggling at Overwatch 2. That one person in your 5-man who's absolutely dog water that needs a little bit of a pick-me-up. Send them over my way and I'll help straighten them up for you so you guys can win SR together. I appreciate you all very much. Have a good one.